Tom Bloom is the designer of Lancer RPG, author of Kill 6 Billion Demons, and self-proclaimed 4E sicko. Tom made some comments about Draw Steel on Bluesky, and I thought it would be interesting to hear his thoughts on Draw Steel as a designer of a well-liked tactical RPG. We also talk about how games should not apologize for their design, how testing makes games better, and how Draw Steel is not an appealing game. I'm John Denor, and this is Goblin Points. Welcome to Goblin Points, Tom Bloom.
Hello.
So, first of all, introduce yourself and maybe mention some of the stuff that you've worked on, because I know people might know you from a lot of things.
Yeah, oh man. I think for the purposes of this podcast, you would know me best as the primary game designer and artist of the game Lancer, to which it's sort of like it's like the weird cousin of Draw Steel, I think. That's how I describe it, right? We're from the same lineage. And I've also done a webcomic for many, many years called Kill 6 Billion Demons. You can find that on the web. It's totally free. There's like 900 pages of it. And I also do a fair amount of like solo RPG work. I just released a game called Kane, which has been sick. It's been super fun to play. I released a skirmish scale war game, which is called Magna Gothica Malagast, about playing necromancers in a city where you cannot die. And I have a meme game called Goblin with a Fat Ass, which you should go check out because it's free, and I made it as a bit, and apparently lots of people played it.
I actually read over the Goblin with a Fat Ass rules earlier today.
Let's go, man! Let's go, man! It's actually like I'm gonna say it's a good bit of game design, sadly. So I ended up using that system later on for Kane, actually, like not the same thing, but yeah, like similar dice mechanics. So
I just have to ask you about Kane because I read a bit about it when doing some research earlier.
Yeah,
and it seems to have been. I'm just seeing people talking about it in very. What's the word I'm looking for here? They seem to be really into the game.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
they love the game.
It's actually got a lot more purchase than I thought it would. Like, I never release anything thinking that anyone is going to play it. like I just like it. I like it a lot, and I'm very particular about my design, right? So when I put something out, I'm like, I've played it, I've play tested it, I think it's good, right? And then I've also I think the design is good, and then I put it out, and then if anyone plays it, it's like it's completely secondary to me. But I do love pointing at it when people tell me they like it, because what happens is instead of it being like, oh, I'm glad you like my game, I'm like, oh, I really love that thing too. like I'm also a fan of my own work. That's like sort of the attitude I have with it. So yeah, I don't know. It's been shockingly successful. It's a narrative game, right? It's not like there's no tactical combat in it, so to speak, but it's a narrative game with like heavy procedure to some degree, like Blades in the Dark, which is probably my favorite game. So I think that makes those kinds of games, like when they're more structured, they're easier to run and also to get into for new players, I think. So I really, I think I did a pretty good job with it. I'm pretty happy about it. There's like some things I would change, but I'm like very pleased with how it turned out. And the visual aesthetic is cool. It's sick as hell. You should definitely. I'll give you a copy of it, man. Would you like a copy?
Oh,
do you own it?
I'd love a copy.
Okay.
I almost bought it earlier today because people were talking about it.
Oh, it's like, well, okay, don't buy it. I'll give you your code. That's not bribery. I swear, it's a podcast. It's a podcast of privilege.
So moving on to maybe more relevant topics. I could pick your brain about other games for a while, but moving on to Draw Steel.
Yeah.
What made you look up Draw Steel in the first place?
Oh, I've been a big fan of Matt Colville for a while.
Okay.
Actually, like back, he did a series about making a fighter in different editions of D&D.
Yes.
And talking about like the history of D&D and all that. And YouTube served me him on the algorithm at some point, like years and years ago. I was like watching his stuff quite a lot. I really liked his takes on certain things. I think he's got a good head on him for like just talking about the hobby and like the history of it and like how he thinks about running games, I think is like really, really cool. Like, so I think, and I like his attitude, man. I like his like sort of like, I like people that are. I have a guy I go to cons with. I did a con over the weekend, which is why my voice is like sludge right now. He's a good friend of mine. I know for many years, and all he does is like get people into cons. He hosts new creative breakfasts for like new comic creators. He tries to connect people, and he's the opposite of a gatekeeper, right? And I thought, like, what's the word for that? It's a door holder, right? It's someone who holds the door for you. So I think Matt Colville is sort of like, he's a door holder for like the TTRPG RPG and GMing specifically. And I really respect him for that. So, yeah, I was like watching his stuff forever. So like when he was like, we're making a game, I was like, oh, cool, I'll check that out. Also, he's also a 4E. He's a D&D 4th edition sicko like me. So,
yes.
So like, of course I had to follow it. I was like, because I think he like me was playing 5th edition and then was like, what's going on here, man? What's happening here? No shade on the designers, man, but they had certain goals, and I just don't think like. Anyway, I could yap about that for like 3 hours, dude. Like, but yeah, I think he had the same kind of like feelings with me about the direction of 5th and the hobby in general, and was like, I want to do something, you know. And so like he. In Draw Steel, actually reading through the game, I'm seeing a lot of convergent design with like my own work, right? Like, and also like the stuff I'm working on now and in the future for other like tactics games. You know, things like having not giving a shit about weapons and the minutia of all that stuff, and making things heroic and interesting, and and you know, like the whole power role thing too. Like splitting out culture and your like species, right? Like that's also something that, right? You know, just like little things where I'm like, you know, we can move beyond this kind of cruft, man, that everyone has been swimming around in for years because of the dragon game. You know, you don't have to carry it everywhere. You know,
you mentioned on I read your small thread on Bluesky when you read the rules.
Yeah.
And you mentioned in one of the posts that you felt like the game was kind of looking over its shoulder back at D&D.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, I think it mostly. I mean, I'm reading through it again. I was like I don't know. Maybe it's impossible to make a fantasy game that is not like what you think D&D should be nowadays, right? Because that's like what people do. It's like it's the fantasy heartbreaker thing. I don't think that Draw Steel is a heartbreaker because I think it's actually a good game. but like it's definitely like it's like Matt Colville's version of D&D, right? That's like what it is. It's definitely very different to D&D, but like it's pretty much D&D, right? I guess part of it was like, you know, Daggerheart's like this too, actually. For comparison, the other game, and just to be clear, I consulted on Daggerheart a little bit. But I have lots of opinions about that game, and not all of them are positive. I think it came out pretty good actually, but they kind of exist in like the negative space of 5th edition. Does that make sense? Like they're only here because people were like, I don't like what the other guy is doing, right? And you kind of feel that in the design of it. And for me, it's like a good game should just stand on its own and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This game has a little preamble. I don't blame Matt for including it, but it has a little preamble being like, we're not this kind of game, we're not that kind of game, check out these other games. And I'm like, that's kind of ballsy. I sort of appreciate that, but for me it's like just like write your shit, man. It's cool and awesome, and everyone who's going to come at it is going to be like here for it, you know. So don't feel the need. I hate it when games or when any kind of like work feels the need to like apologize for itself, you know what I'm saying? Especially when it's good. But even when it's not good, like that's fine. Like just be confident in what you have, you know. And there's so many things too where you can see like in Daggerheart and in this game too, like people going like, oh man, I'm sick of this shit from Dungeons and Dragons, like let's not include it. You know, or like, this is how we're gonna handle this thing from D&D, like porting over stuff, right? Like a mechanic, for example, from D&D, and you're like, I don't like how that's handled in D&D, let's handle it this way instead, right? Like it's very interesting. I mean, you have all the D&D species and races and shit here, but like obviously Matt Colville's like way cooler, more like 70s spacey vibey versions of them, which I appreciate. but like, you know, you got elves and dwarves and stuff, and it's, you know, it's the same thing. We've been playing it for a while. It's Matt's version of it, which I think I like. but yeah, I definitely don't like games that are like apologizing for themselves, man, or saying like, I think there's a lot of space in this book, particularly on like, we're this kind of game, and to me it's like, yeah, man, I know that, I read your book. You know, maybe we're just assuming people can't read very well, and that's actually fine. I have a section. I'm writing a tactics game called Icon. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
Only by you mentioning it on Bluesky.
Yeah, that's my like big swing at the tactics space, which I've been torturing myself with for about 3 years now. Torturing, absolutely torturous, just like turning it over in my head, man, trying to chip away at it. Because I have strong opinions, right? So if I didn't have strong opinions, it'd be much easier. I would just put something out that's bad. And you know, I'm also guilty of this, so man, I have little tonal things in the start. I think it's important to set like the tone of a game, right? And say like, oh, this is what the tone of the game is. This is what I think you're going to use this game for, right? I don't even feel any need to be like, here's how to convert your character in if you're coming from D20 Fantasy. Like, there's a section like in the preamble in this game in Draw Steel being like, here's how to convert this over from D20 Fantasy. Like, here's what we do differently. And I'm like, get rid of that. You don't need to say that. Just do it. You know? Anyway, that's just, maybe it's just me being having, you know, strong opinions about this shit. I think it's perfectly fine for Matt to do that, but or James, whoever was writing it. But
I know that part of the reason that those two sections are there, this is the kind of game we are, and here are some other games that do other things that we don't focus on, and here's where we differ from D20 Fantasy, as they call it. I know that part of the reason those sections are in there is because they know that a very big chunk of their audience is going to convert from 5e, and they kind of need to explain to them,
right,
this is your second RPG.
Yeah, I know, dude.
So we need to explain to you things can be done differently than just from like 5e to maybe, I don't know, Pathfinder or Tales of the Valiant or something that's much more closely related to 5e. Yeah.
No, you're actually not wrong, actually. People are like, I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? It's like people, it's like if we play video games and 80% of the market was just Skyrim, right? You know? Like, and everyone goes and plays Super Mario and they're like, where's my horse? Where's my you know, what happened to my shout powers? Like, dude, this is Mario. We don't do that. Like, you know, like, yeah, it's true. You're right. I do sympathize. I do. But like, for me, it's like, I'm not out there. I mean, it's just me. It's just a me thing, honestly. I will say something about Draw Steel.
Yeah.
This is my most controversial opinion about it. Are you ready? You ready to absorb this?
Yeah. Bring it.
You're gonna kick me off the podcast. to be clear, I really like this game. I don't think this is a very appealing game.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and that's like maybe not even something you can change about it. But in terms of like thinking about, and again, I'm everyone's put up this weird like false equivalency thing, being like, oh, Daggerheart and Draw Steel, which is who's gonna take D&D's crown? The answer is nobody. Neither of them are.
Yeah.
But if I had to think about the two of them, right, I would be like, Daggerheart's gonna get way more people to get into it, right? Like immediately, because it's a much more appealing game, right? And you know, it's very interesting, right? It's like, I was flipping through 4th edition D&D the other day at a convention I was just at, and I was like looking at the game, and I was like, everyone has talked at length about, I think a little bit about like, there's like sort of a lack of art in Draw Steel, and like the art that's there is kind of very plainly put into the book, and I was like reading through 4th edition, and I was like, dude, it's just exactly the same as 4th edition. Like 4th edition has exactly the same amount of art, like art layout, like maybe less art actually, like that, you know, like the powers and stuff are all laid out the same way. I was just like, what are you talking about? It's very clean, minimalist kind of almost like design to things. Like visually, like it's not quite as flashy as something like Daggerheart. These games just, you know, it's just a ton of shit to absorb right away, right? And there isn't like a simple mechanic you can put in the game and be like, this is how everything in the game works. It's like, no, dude, we're getting into like, you know, we start with the glossary. Another thing, by the way, that like like AD&D and fourth edition both do, which I think is great. By the way, it's a fucking great choice for this kind of game. But people are gonna pick this up and be like, get to like page 4 and be like, there's a glossary here. Holy shit! Oh, I've tuned out already. Goodbye. Like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's because this is people who know this kind of game that they're like familiar with it. They're gonna come to this game, and people who aren't into like the tactics stuff are just like gonna stay away and like not, not. And maybe that's just sort of inevitably like a quirk of the tactics genre. And also I think I also think like Draw Steel is like it's not very setting agnostic, right? It's very setting forward, man. It's very like manifolds and timescapes and fucking time raiders and shit. And that for me, I'm like, give it to me, Mal. That's awesome, dude. I love that. I love the shit. But I love the sort of like very like 70s vibe, dude. Where it's like, we might be on a spaceship in the next session. We might be, punching dwarves or something in one session. But I think like that people are going to also look at that and go, oh, I don't want like spaceships and time raiders in my game and shit, like, and they're going to bounce off that.
Yeah.
So there's like so many choices that have been made about this game, from the layout to like the actual kind of game it is to like the setting and stuff, that to me it's like fundamentally and the price too, right? People brought the price up a lot. Now I don't think that's a problem, but it is a pricey PDF, right? You had to acknowledge that. Now, MCDM pays people properly, so like I'd rather have that, man, than and it's like both books, and like people go out and they'll be like, oh, how could I'm going to pay $70 for a PDF, but then they'll drop like $150 in the Dragon game, of which like 2 of those books are actually useful, right? Like, or 1 maybe, and then they'll homebrew 2/3 of it anyway, right? So like they're not even using the books. It's really fascinating because like it's just like Matt and co like making the game they want to make without a real concern about like who's going to pick it up. It's like really interesting to me. I really respect that personally. I just think it's interesting because I am always thinking about accessibility and how to like get people into my game in a way that they can slide in as smoothly as possible. And to me, that's like such a big part of the design. To me, like, Matt and Code has been like, nah, fuck it, man, we're going to make this sick game. It's going to be set in Orden, like, in space, and you're going to be able to be like, even the classes, man. Everyone's got psychic powers. Everyone's cool. Everyone's, like, manipulating time, Like, I'm kind of into that, to be honest. But it is interesting as a game design thing, just to be like, now, man, we're making this game that is, like, a little bit inaccessible and a little bit, like, specific, compared to something where they could have gone the Daggerheart route and just been like, yeah, there's here we put, you can play anything, all these D&D races, and they're all pretty much the same, and all the classes are pretty much the same, and here's a nice comfy bed for you, sir. They've chosen to go with something very tactical, and a game where the tactical combat is like the big focus, right? Therefore needs to contain a glossary and conditions and power rolls and little denotations saying if M is less than P or whatever the hell I thought that and like there's a certain kind of person who I guess is going to bounce off that anyway, but to me it's like fascinating because like so much of what I'm tearing my hair out with my own design is like trying to write around that and trying to like make it as accessible as possible to people so they can get in. It's like such a big consideration for me. So it's kind of, it's like, I don't even know if I'm doing it right. I'm like, should I just be ignoring that completely? And should I just be doing what these guys are doing, just making it and like getting it out there and like the people, if you build it, they will come kind of thing, right? Like, I don't know. Anyway, sorry, there's me yapping for like 20 minutes or something, but I don't even know what the original question was, man. Yeah, that's sort of like one of my big takeaways from reading through it recently. It's like very interesting. What was the original question, man? What was I even talking about?
We started with
looking over your shoulder at the
yeah.
Yes, right. So it's interesting to me, and it's interesting to bring it back. Like it's interesting to me to like we're taking all these big cool swings, and then we're also going like, but if you're coming from D20 Fantasy, and I'm like, dude, like if I'm coming to this game, like I kind of know what I'm getting into, Like I don't even know if I'm gonna you're not going to get the 5e players of this one, man. Like, it's not going to happen. They're going to look at it and be like, psychic powers? What's going on? What, the null? Where's my monk?
Yeah. There have been some comments of that ilk where people comment like, why did they change the monk, or why did they change the dwarves? And I know, at least from Matt's point of view, it's like, why would you assume that the dwarf from 5e or the monk from 5e is like a universal
thing? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. And then it's like, okay, then it's like, okay, then you got to put a little thing in your game saying, no, guys, please, God, it's not like that. Just please. So like, then you do need that preamble, right? It's unfair, isn't it? It's just,
I've seen a lot of people saying that Draw Steel is maybe a spiritual successor or like a modernization of 4th edition.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like you agree.
yeah, definitely. I would say it's like a much more streamlined 4e is my initial impression of it. Now, I will also preface any of my opinions. I have not been able to play this game yet. Or run it. I actually just got invited to a game, so I'm going to go play a Fury for a while. Hopefully, we'll figure out.
Nice.
So hopefully, I'll have some more to say. I imagine I'm going to love it. that's my feeling about it. But that's me, right? That's me. I'm already here for it, dude. So because I love these kinds of games, I'm way into them.
Is it the tactics that entrance you, or
So I like games that are like really focused on what they do, right? And like Draw Steel may seem like it's a big book and it's kind of sprawling and stuff, but it's kind of not, man. Like, it's very tight. In fact, I think it's almost too tight in certain aspects, right? Like like the lack of like character customization is something that sort of stood out to me. But like it's really just saying like, hey, every level pick one of these abilities, like, maybe you get a perk once in a while. Like, it's not like Pathfinder where it's this like big nightmarish sprawling thing of like, oh, first I have to take this and then take this and then you do this, you can do this and all that shit. Like, I hate that, man. I hate that simulationist bloat to it, man. It's just like, no, man. Here's an ability, it's cool, it does cool stuff. And it's easy to get it once you kind of understand its language. Or you just, I rolled a 21, cool. Here's what I do, right? Like, that's fundamentally appealing to me. Like, I like games, and they're a big focus on being like, I think as Matt has said many times, which I really respect him for. Like, if you're gonna have rules, like, make the rules good. If you're gonna have tactical combat, make the tactical combat good. Like, like if your game is about fighting monsters and getting treasure and shit, like, make that what the game is actually about and then make it good. So that's what I like, right? Like in Lancer, there are no out of mech rules really. There's a very light narrative system with some downtime rules. And everyone's like, dude, why don't you have like pilot combat rules and all stuff? Because the game's not about that, dude. It's about getting in a mech and like using your cool, insane build to like blow the shit out of other mechs, and then also, getting your arm blown off by a shotgun or whatever. Like, that's what it's about. It's a bit about it. There's a bit of drama there, but like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna make a lot of rules for it, right? I'm not trying to simulate things. This is a game. We're playing a game, right? And it's like very focused on the game part of it. Because I think a lot of people, they come like, there's kind of a couple of schools of thought in this, right? So I'm going to go off into a tangent. I hope this is okay.
Go.
There's a couple schools of thought, right? One is like, keep the rules as like light as possible and let the non-instrumental play take over, right? Like the OSR philosophy. You roll a d20 and you roll under stat for most things. 2 pages of rules. If you need a rule, write it, right? That's their thoughts about stuff. And then you have a 6-page game or whatever, right? I was reading through Mythic Bastion Land the other day as Into the Odds author Christopher, I can't remember his last name. I think he was great. Really enjoyed it. It's 19 pages of rules that covers everything from combat to like, ruling a domain, so on and so forth. And every rule is like 1 sentence, right? And you're like, because there's a space there for you to like be creative and write your own paths forward and like negotiate at the table, and I imagine your table culture will like carry it the rest of the way, as most people do. I think play games like that when it's not in a really instrumental space like combat, right? So there's that like attitude towards it, and then the other attitude is like the people who come to games because they like playing the little board game, they like playing the tactics game, right? And so they get their enjoyment from the spontaneity and creativity that comes with the very, very non-instrumental part of like sitting down with miniatures and maps and doing all this stuff, because they like playing basically what is like, you know, a board game with their friends, right? Yeah, you can like kind of lean one way or the other, but I think you have to either make the rules like non-existent or like existent and good, right? Like you have to lean into that instrumental thing and like make it really tight and fun and interesting. Or you have to get rid of it completely. And certain games, I won't say them, but they're made by a company that rhymes with Izzards of the Coast. Don't do either particularly well. So it's refreshing to me whenever games take a swing at like, you know, doing one or the other in a really like thorough and interesting way.
You mentioned being, should I say, underwhelmed with character options.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know that some of the part of the idea is that especially titles and like magic items or treasures, as they're called.
Oh yeah.
Are supposed to kind of cover part of that character customization thing, because I know that Matt has a philosophy where he prefers that you have to kind of earn your customizations. That the reason you have this this title or this sword or a piece of armor is because you actually went out and did something. This is part of the story of this character.
Right. Well, that's the interesting thing about that, right? Is that that's still, those rules are still instrumental. They are not spontaneous and creative. They are a thing that gives you tangible benefits, right? And therefore, people will always view them as part of character building, even if you say, "No, man, you have to get this." You know, during your adventures, they're gonna go bug their DM and be like, "Hey, get me this specific item because I want to do this." You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a really tricky problem to solve, right? Like, fourth edition eventually had a thing where they just said, like, we assume all the math in this game is assuming that you know your DM has been nice enough to give you a +2 weapon by you know 8th level, whatever. They just had a thing eventually where they just said, you just get a +2 bonus to 8th level, like, because we're sick of DMs telling their players they can't go out and get this cool stuff, right? To me, it's like, I prefer to have that stuff be in player control, because players are always going to view it as part of character building, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I also do respect the decision not to allow multi-classing here, because I think it you know, it starts to, if you don't handle it well, it makes everything become samey, and it makes builds become, and it creates design problems, right? But you know, it is a really tricky problem, man, because it's like either you make the design pretty big and you let people play around in it, but then they start to, you know, it starts to come apart at the seams because it's either too big, or players can like immediately be like, oh, this will massively break action economy, and then you have to balance for that. And that's a huge pain. Or, you know, you keep it tight like they have here, and then players go, well, I'm gonna make like 1 or 3 guys basically for every class, and that's sort of it. So I mean, I think that it seems like the plan is just to release more character options in future, right? Like that seems like a good compromise. But it's interesting because for me, like, part of the appeal of these games is the whole like character building aspect to it, and there's like so few choices you're actually making when it comes to it.
Yeah.
That it seems a little stiff to me, right? It's like, oh, I'm just sort of making like 1 decision, 2 decisions a level, and there's only 10 levels, and I like they're all weighty, but they're not like there's not like that much for me to put me in it as a player, right? There's none of that expression. If I'm playing a tactician, you know, at 4th level, I'm picking one of these 2 things. That's what I'm doing, you know. So that's nice and tight, but I think it does like it leaves less room for player expression, I think, right?
I think that's fair.
But let me be clear. I myself am designing a game that plays in this space, and good God, including the ability for people to just mash things together is a pain in the ass. So I respect it. I really respect it.
Speaking of being focused on certain kind of rules, I'm curious what you think about the inclusion of the specifically the negotiation rules and the downtime project in this game, because I've seen some people online really struggle with the...
Don't trust those guys.
They've been struggling with the fact that this game proclaims to be tactical, and then there's suddenly non-combat focused rules that get their own chapter in the rules.
Yeah. I didn't think I was gonna like the negotiation stuff because I also like would rather have that be handled more, loosey goosey. But I actually quite like it because I like it because it basically gives you a list of improv prompts right at the end.
Oh,
it's a yes and no, but
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool, okay, that's fine, that's nice. That's kind of nice to like, systematize that. And the projects and stuff. I don't know. I think they're cool. I have no opinions about them really. I think it's nice that like there's like stuff. I love downtime stuff, man. It's like I like games that tell you how to play them. Right, right. Dude, think about this for a second, right? Like, there's so many games that OSR games, right, for all their virtue, have been like. By the way, I think your listeners must be familiar with old school Renaissance games. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. OSR.
I would assume so.
Yeah. They give you like nothing, right? They give you nothing at all. Generally, they're just like, yeah, go run some adventures or whatever. We're not going to tell you how to run this game or what to do. But I actually really prefer it when the game says you're going to go on a little adventure and then you're going to have some downtime, and then you're going to go back another adventure, and you're going to go back into because it gives you the structure you can play off of, right? Where you're as a GM, you kind of know what's going to happen. Like I love Blades in the Dark for that, because Blades in the Dark, a game about playing thieves. And you're doing a heist, and then you're like burning all your ill-gotten money off on various things, and then you go back to a heist again. So like there's a structure to the game where as a GM you can immediately tell what you're going to be doing next session, because you're either doing a thing or you're like doing this other thing, which is also has some rules about it, which I really enjoy. I think it's quite cool. See, I love that there's downtime stuff and crafting and stuff in it. Gives you like things to focus on, right?
Yeah,
these little goals. I love little checklists, man. I love little things you give you like, oh yeah, I want to work in this thing. It's cool, very cool.
By complete coincidence, I was listening to the backlog of Quinn's.
Oh yeah.
And I listened to the full interview he did with you when he reviewed Lancer last year.
Oh yeah, it was his first one on his
Yeah.
Yeah.
You came upon the subject of playtesting briefly in the interview, and you mentioned he mentioned jokingly that it was a controversial topic, and I think I kind of agree with you that in some circles of the TTRPG community, playtesting is a controversial topic.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? I don't know why it is. But yeah. Sorry, what were you gonna say? I don't want to interrupt you.
No. I just want to hear your thoughts about playtesting, and why do you think it's important? Because I know MCDM and Matt is very focused on playtesting and have this whole regime around testing everything they produce.
Yeah.
So that's made the community kind of focused on playtesting too, because they talk so much about it. I'm just wondering, what are your thoughts on playtesting?
well, I've had to think about it a bit, and I'm like, well, the people that are like anti-playtesting, not to name any names, but they're typically in spaces where the games don't really need playtesting because they don't really have any rules, right? Like they're like mostly like OSR folks, right, or whatever, and then they're just saying like, man, we're using Back Me D&D or some variants of it, and like we know how it works, we don't need to test this, like, and in fact, in some cases, those games are not about making a game that is, supposed to have a certain experience for players. It's supposed to be like you walk into a room and there's 1d6 skeletons, which like if you're trying to like balance the game or make it like interesting, like you might say, well, how many players do you have when you go in and there's all these skeletons in the room, and how many, and so on and so forth. But a lot of these guys will go, nah, dude, there's just 1d6 skeletons, like deal with it. Right? and I'm like, for me, it's like that can be kind of fun, or that can be kind of miserable, and you just go, why are we playing this game, dude? If you're going to roll, and there can be anywhere from 1 to 6 skeletons in this room. Jesus Christ, that's a lot. That's 6 times the amount of skeletons I was expecting. John, why did we get 6 skeletons in here? And then you go, well, I just rolled for it. And then you go, well, why would you do that? That's completely unbalanced. We're going to die. And he's like, I don't know. That's what happens. That's the world. Right. That's like, So like there's like an attitude where I'm like, okay, I get that, dude. I get that. And also those games where like, you know, they're playing like a PBTA game or something, right? And generally people know how those games work, right? Like they don't really need to test them, they sort of run themselves. But like if you're trying something different or new, like I did with Kane, or if you're trying something that's got a lot of rules, like instrumental, man, you absolutely have to playtest. 100%. Like if you did not playtest Draw Steel, it would be a vastly worse game, I imagine, on release. Same as if I released the first version of Lancer that I put out, it would be psychotic to play. It would be unplayable. I had like 2.5 years of people being like, please fix this, Tom. Please fix this. I was like, oh god. And then I go look at it now and I'm like, oh, there's so many problems with this. We had to print a book there, right? So, but through playtesting, it became fun and somewhat playable. And I think that's like important as hell, man. You gotta let your game hit air. So many people are so afraid that it's gonna not work, and then I'm like, that's the point, dude. You know. And also, you never get that experience because in your head as a designer, you might say, oh, I have this cool system for this thing, and it's 15 statuses, and they all counteract each other. And then you run it in practice, and you're like, oh my god, this is too much. This is like too much to, just track, and this is too much, and the feel is off. And you could like immediately tell you got to change it. Like you never get that experience unless you like take it to the table, man. It's like I never ever release games I haven't run myself or like been a player in myself. Gone, this was really fun, right? If I don't get that experience, never releasing it. It's gonna sit in the document forever. Never see the light of day. There are games I've like put aside because I've tried running them or tried like trying them out, and like, that was miserable. And then we're like, I'm not even gonna attempt to fix that, dude. We're gonna move on. Yeah, you gotta play test, but you don't have to, depending on your. I've like softened my stance a bit. Like your sphere of work may not require it, but like for a game like this, dude, like if you're not like, and there's big companies, man, that don't test it. Like I don't think D&D 5th edition was tested past 8th level very much at all. I really don't. Like some of the 5th level spells, the math is wrong. The math is completely wrong on them. Like Monster of the Week. You ever play that game?
No, I've only heard about it.
It's quite popular. Quite a popular PBTA. I'd have to say, like, if I hope those designers played their own game, but like it's a game about playing an investigative like X-Files kind of thing, right? A Supernatural or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And the basic investigation move does not work. It does not work at all. It's miserable. Every time you use it, you go, none of these questions I get to ask are relevant to the current situation at all. I don't understand. Like, wow. and it's the kind of thing where, like, I'm like, if you had played it, you would notice that really quickly, right? So not to be throw any shade in us, guys. I'm sure they tested the game, but that's interesting, though. That's the kind of thing I would notice right away and go, oh, I have to change that because like this bit of the game is like very important. Feels bad, right? Yeah, that's my thoughts, I guess.
I've seen some talk about Draw Steel and how, for example, they noticed that the project roles are, when you roll for making progress on a project, you still use 2d10, but you don't use the tiered results.
Yeah.
And they kind of fault the game for changing the mechanic all of a sudden.
Nice. Oh man, yeah. That's the thing, right? I do actually think like you cannot make a perfectly balanced game, right? It's impossible. In fact, a perfectly balanced game isn't interesting because it to me it's in all the jaggedy bits that people can run their fingers over that actually makes it interesting to me, right? To players, right? They run their grubby little paws over the game and they go, ooh, where are the bits that stick out? And they kind of grab onto them, and that's how you get players into your game, especially games like this. Because if everything was just like a gray sludge we could consume and be like, all abilities do this much damage, like that would suck. It wouldn't be interesting, right? But for me, the point of balance that's most relevant is it's like game feel, right? So that's probably it. That's probably what people are running into, right? They're saying this feels wrong, and to me that's definitely worth paying attention to. I'm actually not sure what the designers of this one. What James or Matt or any of the people who work on this think, but that's definitely it's come up before for me too. Yeah, people and you were like, but it works well, and they're like, people are like, but it works differently, and I don't like that. And you're like, damn it, that's the worst thing, man. It's like you want you have to like deal with human beings, right? You're doing a game that runs on an operating system that's made out of meat and has opinions. You know, if I was making a computer game, I would just be like, this ability does 20% more damage, but I can deal with physical totems like dice, man. It's nightmarish. Terrible.
You haven't played Draw Steel yet.
No, I'm likely going to. I've literally just gotten invited to a game, so we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. Certainly, I'd never get to be a player. I'm a forever GM.
Ditto.
Anytime anybody is like, "Do you want to play?" and I don't care what system. I'm like, yes. They're like, they could be like, "Do you want to play in my like, you know, my one-page forum RP where we're all, you know, elves?" I'd be like, "Yes, let's go. I'll play."
I'd be even more enthusiastic if they...
yeah.
Bring me something weird. I'm there.
yeah. So I rarely get to be a player. So yes, someone was like, "Would you like to play Draw Steel?" I was like, "I'd love to play Draw Steel. Let's go." Good shot that a friend of mine in town too will someday run it in person too. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I think it'll be interesting because I've seen a lot of people mention that they usually don't like tactic games, but when they sit down and actually try Draw Steel, they actually like it despite their initial kind of
that's my
feeling about it.
That's my feeling actually. Yeah. Because I think a big part of it is it's kind of like learning a different parlance. So it's like learning a different language to a degree, right? Everyone likes the language to be the same. They like to look at a game and go, "This uses a D20, cool." Like, you know, like they're super into that. Like I moved my game that I'm doing over to a D10 because I just don't think I needed that much, you know, that many numbers. But then now I'm even thinking like, am I going to do that because people love their little D20s, right? You know, and I'm like, so but you look at the way things work in this game, it's very straightforward, and actually I imagine will be pretty like snappy to play, but you have to learn it, right? And that's a huge barrier. It's like, it sucks, dude. You got to get this into people's hands. You got to get them to understand it, and then they go, "Oh, this actually works." Because that's the thing about. I mean, I haven't like played it, so I couldn't tell you. But my strong suspicion is that you're going to do an ability in this game, and you're immediately going to go like, "Oh, I did something, and it was cool." Because everything just does stuff, and everything moves forward because you're always doing damage, and you're always making stuff happen, and you're always kicking people into walls and shit. Like I imagine it's I imagine you played a lot at this point.
Yeah, I've actually ended up playing quite a lot because a very, very kind person in the community who runs a lot of games, and I've ended up being in his usual roster of people that he asks.
yeah, nice. Yeah. Don't tell me if I'm right, because I'll find out. But that's my feeling about it. But I think people like it because they probably like it. And for my suspicion, is because the game has been well play tested. So I think probably like James and Co. understand like what makes things fun and interesting and quick. Right? They've done it. They've been there because they had a totally different design for this game at some point, right?
I was in the early play tests 2 years ago. Where a lot of stuff was different, but that's before the power roll, before the D10s were rolling D6s for damage.
Yeah. And so I think that there's a great deal of care being paid in this game. I think on making the rules good, right, and making them like work. And not trying to be too simulationist, right? I mean, there's a little bit of it in this game, which, you know, for me, I'm like, I don't like any vestige of simulationism. Purge it away, get it out of here. Like they've included 3-dimensional space in this game, which I'm like, that's a mistake right away. Don't do that. Like in my game, when you fly, it's a status effect. So that's that. I'm like, I'm done with. Like dealing with that in Lancer, I was like, dude, that was like the worst. That was some dark days. So like little bits like that, but by and large, like, you know, it works, man. That's the thing, is like there's so many of these games, man. People taking so many swings at this kind of game over time, right? And like fourth edition was this, you know, the swing that even Wizards took at some point was like, what if we paid attention to the tactical combat and made it interesting and made you like have a lot to do and put like roles in and made the classes very distinct and like added all these options for you and all made the monsters interesting, and and you can tell that was a good addition because so much of its design has like persisted for years, decades. The to the point that like, man, I'm looking at Lancer and I'm looking at Draw Steel, and even the layout, dude, I'm just like, oh, we're just cribbing from fourth, like, like we're just making the same book, like it looks really similar. Like you should actually crack open the 4th edition D&D rule book, have a look at it. You'll do a little double take. You'll be like, oh my god. It really is very, very familiar.
I just want to mention one thing regarding the playtesting thing that remember Matt saying at some point, because I've been following this very closely, so I ended up with way too much information about the development of Draw Steel.
Oh yeah.
But he mentioned at some point that through the playtesting process, basically, he wanted the released version of Draw Steel to basically be the 2nd edition of the game from the get-go, that they kind of went through the 1st edition during the playtesting phase.
Yep. I am doing exactly the same thing. with both of my tactics games have gone through that exact process, man. They are unrecognizable from their first like incarnation. Yeah. That's a good thing, I think, for sure. Yeah. I think you should go through that, right? You should like shed all the stuff that doesn't work and like make the stuff that isn't. Again, somehow a controversial thing to say. And then there are big companies out there making games like Exalted and Shadowrun, where like I'm like, has anyone played this? Actually played this? Like,
wow.
Yeah, not to throw too much shade out there, but like, have you tried to play Exalted? It's an adventure. It's really like, God.
You seem to kind of have some of the same design philosophy that MCDM has used, that trying to just make the game fun to play, both for the players and for the DM.
Yeah.
And I've got the feeling that some designers, I don't have anyone in mind specifically, but I feel like some designers kind of fall in love with a specific mechanic or a specific like dice system or something, and they just refuse to make the game fun to kind of save their...
Oh yeah. No, I get you. No, that's very true actually. Well, sometimes people think like, oh, I have a really cool mechanic or something, but like, because I've seen this a lot, man. I've seen this a lot, especially with people who like haven't released the game before, right? They go like, oh, this is really cool. And then I go, yeah, man, but like, okay, someone asked me a question the other day. And they said, how do I get to translate what the design is in my head and on paper to like what is actually being played at the table? Like, that seems like really hard. And for me, I said to them, dude, don't even think about what's in your head. Think about what's at the table. Because that's how the game is going to be played. It's going to be played by human beings talking to each other and rolling some dice for random numbers, right? That's how the game's going to be played. That's your game. The thing on the paper is actually not your game. That is like the rules for the game, but the game itself exists between the players at a table. So you really have to like think about that at all times, man. You might be like, well, I have this cool elaborate status system in my game. But do you know, man, people don't remember statuses. It's a huge pain in the ass. Like, everyone goes, oh yeah, I have a status. Oh, do I need to save for that? And then it's like, slows the game down. It's going to add like 10 minutes onto your turns. Oh, you're going to play a 2-hour combat, and 30 minutes of that is people forgetting to save for statuses or whatever the hell. And you have to go look at what every status does. Oh, if I'm paralyzed, there's this thing. If I'm, frostbitten, it's doing this thing or whatever. Like, people can't really remember that stuff. But designers love adding them in their game because it's it's a little simulationist and gives a little texture to the game.
Yeah.
For example, or designers will say, "Oh, I have this cool system for like the negotiation thing was something initially I was a bit wary of, because to me that's not something you need to systematize, right? You don't need to like have a structure around it. You just role play, which doesn't require any rolling, right? I don't think social stuff should generally be systematized. But after reading it, I'm like, oh, this is just like a frame you can hang on it, and then you get a little improv prompt at the end to see how the person responds. But like, yeah, it's like you have a system, and you're like, I have a system. But then when it hits air, is the most important point of contact, right? When it has to be played between people, they have to both be able to engage with it, to understand it, to use it in a way that's like fun and like intuitive to them. And if none of that can happen, then your game has failed to like make purchase. It's not going to be fun, dude. The most important thing is that people are having fun and that they're enjoying themselves, that things are happening which are enjoyable. It's a game, right? We're doing it to relax, to like socialize and chill and have some cool, interesting, maybe exciting times at the table. We're not doing it to like, because some guys like, I have a really good rule for like, you know, overland travel or whatever. Like every time I've played like a hex crawl, for example, it's always been kind of miserable because the rules get in the way of like people just playing the game. They just keep interfering. Oh, I'm a new hex. Oh, I gotta make a roll. Oh, next hex, I gotta make another roll. It's like no one eventually like plays like that because you know it's getting in the way of having fun. But some designer said, "Oh, I need to do this thing in this game, and it needs to feel dangerous. So I'm gonna add random encounters every hex, and we're gonna roll for it." But then it's like in practice, it's miserable to play. Right? You're like, I don't want to keep doing this. Like it doesn't create anything other than tedium. That's like a really common one. But yeah, you have to always think about how are people gonna play this shit, man. At the table, man. It's just also why like playtesting is important because then you find out in real time. Like I designed Kane. Initially, I had this idea in Kane. This is about psychic death soldiers fighting monsters made of human trauma, and you're like hunting them down. You know, sort of like a combination of like X-Files, Jujutsu Kaisen, and Evangelion. That's how I describe it to people. So you get kind of dropped into an investigation area, and you have to like hunt down this monster that has appeared. And initially, I had this idea that like, okay, some people are gonna have like combat powers, and some people are gonna have investigation powers, and the people with investigation powers are gonna be able to like set up the people with combat powers to like succeed in combat. What that actually did in practice, it was a cool idea for me, right? What that actually did in practice was like, my players being like, well, only one guy can actually harm this thing, so like we're just gonna fucking sit around with our thumbs up our asses because like we can do nothing to, it created this like weird divide that was like really awkward, and immediately it was like, okay, everyone needs some basic ability to like deal harm in this game, otherwise it's gonna feel miserable for people when they get into a fight, which is like what you're never really gonna do in this game. But like that was after playtesting it, right? You gotta learn those things. You have some cool idea in your head, it's never gonna make it, man. If people aren't gonna be able to play it. That's what I don't know how that's controversial, but there you
go. We're nearing the end of the allotted time.
Yeah.
And I always ask my guests to bring some kind of recommendation they want people to check out. And I'm wondering what you brought.
Oh man, this is gonna be really God. Why would I even say this? But I would say I would love people who are listening to this podcast, who probably are Draw Steel fans, to go check out Daggerheart, man. Go give it a read. Daggerheart, and I say this charitably because I quite like the game, is a game that is simulating what it's like to play D&D. I don't think by itself it's not doing anything particularly new or like the actual game there, the tactics stuff is like much more simple and much more loosey-goosey and much more like not as tight as a game like Draw Steel, right? But that's kind of by design. It's a game that has put its points into like being kind of breezy and accessible and a smooth experience, people coming from 5e. And it's the game that plays like most people think 5th edition plays or should play, right?
Interesting.
So there's been great care to it to make it much more of a smooth narrative experience. Like the way that most people play the 5th edition on like an actual play show would be better served by playing Daggerheart. I genuinely think it is a better fit than D&D for like most of those shows, right? They would be better off running Daggerheart because it does that job so much better than the Dragon game. And it's also coming at things from like an opposite I guess set of goals than Draw Steel is. So I recommend if you like this game, you should just go check. I also consulted on it, so I don't have any royalties or anything, but they brought me in to look at it. They're like, hey, how's the combat in this? And I was like, I have a lot of feedback points for you, Spencer. Fix the goblins, Spencer.
I saw the
Yes.
notes you posted.
But genuinely, I think it's quite a good game with very different goals to draw steel.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really compelling to me, especially because these two games have been so positioned by the internet, which loves to have like weird console wars things. As like sort of the post OGL inheritors of 5th edition's player base, but yeah, go check it out. Give it a read through. See what you think. You might, if you're a game designer too, you might be interested to see how it's handling things. It's not for me, right? It's not my jam. This kind of game is much more my jam. But I think like that kind of game is like what people want to be playing. Not me, but like people,
other
people in general. Yeah. Like if I was going to introduce people to the hobby, I would run it over 5th edition, right? I would actually run it. I would lie to them. I'd say we're going to play D&D, and we play Daggerheart.
Isn't D&D just like a generic word for TTRPG at this point?
Yeah, basically, yeah. But that's the thing, right? It's like I would play Daggerheart. I would not play Draw Steel. I would not be like, we're going to play D&D, we're going to play Draw Steel. The people that I've played games with, like for a while, I would be like, we're not going to play Daggerheart. We're going to play Draw Steel.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Like the people I actually like, I'm gonna play games with you guys, and we're gonna have a good time. Like we're gonna play Draw Steel. We're not gonna play Daggerheart. But if like some random schmucks from work or whatever, like hey, I want to play a D&D game. I'm like, I got this great game, guys. D&D. It's 5th edition D&D. I know it says Daggerheart on the cover. We're gonna play it.
This has been fantastic, Tom. I'm so pleased and so happy that you were able to come on my small humble podcast.
Yeah, John, thanks very much, man. It was nice chatting. Sorry I yapped a lot. They call me the Yapper, man. And that's it's like my nickname on the Discord.
I love that. So
yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. Cheers, man. Thank you.
Thanks again, Tom, for coming on Goblin Points. My personal takeaway from our conversation was that Tom and I share a lot of the same preferences in how games should be designed. I like games that tell you how to play them. Is probably my favorite quote from Tom. I should get that on a t-shirt. If you want to be featured on Goblin Points or know of someone else who should be, leave a comment on YouTube or Spotify, or send me an email on tips@goblinpoints.com. Links to everything, including this script, can be found in the show notes and on goblinpoints.com. If you want to support my work, you can become a Patreon supporter. As a paying member, you can submit questions for upcoming guests. You also get access to premium features on Stall. Stall is a digital toolset for playing and running Draw Steel, digital hero sheets, looking up monsters, or read the core rules. Go to stall.app, STAWL.app. Next episode is on the 5th. That's the news roundup for September. See you next time. Snakkes.